Okay, thank you. Uh, as I've indicated, the module that we are looking at this week, it's about starting and running a new venture. I'll be taking you through the innovative thinking section of the module. For the rest of the week, I will be working with the rest of my team. So today it will be myself as the lead facilitator of this particular course. And tomorrow we will be having Mr. Rudolph, who will be taking you through the next section of the module, Understanding Entrepreneurial Profile. And on Wednesday, we will have Mr. Tabakenna, I call him Mr. T, who will be taking you through the fundamental knowledge of a business plan. And on Thursday, we will have Dr. Mabuda. He'll section about understanding the functions of the market. So you will see their faces when they come on board in the next few days. As indicated, I'm taking you through the section that talks about innovative thinking. And the unit standard to that, it's number 114600. Innovative thinking. So what I hope to impart to you today is to inspire and challenge you about your thinking capability as an entrepreneur. So I suggest you grab your paper and pen so that you can take some notes for your takeaway. The outcomes that we are looking at today, it will be that at the end of this session, you will be able to identify ways of improving your thinking skills. Solve a problem using analytical techniques. Solve a problem using creative thinking. Identify factors that contribute to the development and growth of a new venture. Okay, like I said, I'm hoping at the end of today to challenge your thinking capability and inspire you to think innovatively. The secret of all power, achievements, and possession is in our method of thinking. So as an entrepreneur, it cannot be business as usual on how you think. The first thing for you to become a successful entrepreneur, you need to change your mindset. You need to change the way you think. So let's think about it. What is thinking? Any takers? What do you think is thinking? Without reading on my screen.
Can I take a try?
Yes.
In my mind, thinking is the ability to assess a situation, then evaluate different outcomes and select the most favorite outcome.
Most definitely. Most definitely. But it's not something that we do consciously. You would agree with me, ne? Thinking it's what you do when you try to start a car and it won't start. After you finish trying, only then you start sitting down and thinking, what's happening? So it's something that happens unconsciously. But for you to think in the right direction, you need to be deliberate about what you're thinking about. So what is thinking? Thinking is perception and attention directing, knowing how to deal with situations, one's ideas, it can be others' thoughts. It involves planning, decision-making, examining of evidence, guesswork, creativity, and many other aspects of thinking. On my right-hand side, you can see there we have an entrepreneur who's trying to think of an idea that can make him money. You think up until you get that aha moment, that spark, the light, that this is what I can do to make money. So within your thinking dimensions, you'll have the dimension of images, where you think through visual images, mental pictures, thinking about that favorite car, you are picturing it. So images, it's one of the dimensions of thinking. Words, our thoughts are expressed in words and in language. So think about something that you would want to start business. Or if you're already in business, think about what can you do in a different way that can grow your business. Is there a new product that you can introduce in your business? Is there a new way of doing business that you can introduce within your business?
Hello, Bridgette. We can't hear you anymore. We seem to have lost you there. I don't know what happened.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I think we've lost Bridgette.
Mic seems to be off. Can somebody maybe the administrator and what do you call it? Unmute it. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, Bridgette is back. Technology has failed me a bit there. So I was asking about the thinking of an entrepreneur. Can everyone see my screen now?
Not yet.
Please confirm as soon as you can see my screen.
Correct. Now it's there.
It's there. Thank you. And sorry about the hiccup. Okay. So what's important is for you to understand how your mind works. The brain is the most complex biological structure known to man. But your brain, it's where within your brain, it's where information is processed. It's a special channel through which information flows in and flows out. So data and evidence and appreciation of a situation is what will flow into your mind, and it will go out as action, choice, decision, and problem solving. Okay, we've got different processes that takes place within your mind. So these are the few mental processes that are listed. The ones that I've highlighted in red are the ones that you would need to focus on as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you need to consciously be conscious about the processes that goes into your mind. Those are the process of conceptualization, creating, making decisions, dreaming. Of course, you need to dream for you to be able to come up with new ideas. And you will also need to be looking at problem solving, because you are going to be dealing with a lot of problems that you would need to solve. Actually, entrepreneurship starts there. For you to be able to sell a product, it should be that you are solving somebody's problem. Okay, so it's important that you understand how your mind processes things. So your mind makes patterns. It's a pattern-making system. The information system of the mind acts to create patterns, store them, and recognize them. The effectiveness of the mind is its ability to create its own patterns. The mind can also accept ready-made patterns. However, patterns can become rigid and extremely difficult to change, which is the challenge that I bring to you today. To say you need to change the patterns of your mind. As you can see on the pictures below, the picture on the right-hand side explains the pattern of your mind. The thoughts that you have, they create feelings. The feelings that you have will start creating behaviors, and those behaviors will reinforce the thoughts. When you move to the left, the picture on the left-hand side tells you that once that pattern goes into your system and you continue with it, the same old thinking will continue to produce old results. So now that you want to think like an entrepreneur, it's important that you start changing your thought patterns. Can you see my screen?
Hi, Bridgette. I think your screen got stuck on the.
No, I can't.
Okay.
Perhaps if you.
But it looks like there's someone sharing the screen now.
Yes, I'm sharing your screen.
Okay, thank you. You can move to the next slide. I was done on this slide. Okay, so you also need to be aware of what we call perception errors, because 80% of our thinking depends on our perceptions. Perceptual errors are very common and they contribute a lot to negative feelings and behaviors, such as the following. We tend to overgeneralize, whereby we draw conclusions from one specific observation. We magnify and minimize things. There will be those black and white thinking, which is your assumptions, negativities, thinking, and misattribution, tunnel vision. Perception can be improved by deliberate attention and practice. So it's very important that you start paying attention to how you perceive things. Moving along.
Yes.
You can go to the next slide. Okay, also you need to be aware of things that can block your thinking. Thinking is the ability to size up situations, solve problems, and decide on actions. The problems are practical, the decisions are practical. So the thinking has to be practical too. Anyone can improve his thinking ability if he sets about in the right way. But most of us don't make that effort. Hence, that we point for you to be able to be aware of your thinking patterns and thinking. People that believe that the ability to think depends on intelligence. The ability to think depends on education. That cannot be true. It's perceptions again. Moving to the next slide. Okay, the skill of thinking. The first thing to accept is that instant thinking is rather like instant soup. There's usually little meat in it. So when you think instantly, in most cases, you don't get anywhere with those kinds of thoughts. Thinking takes time. Many people rush into taking decisions without thinking. Only after they've taken those decisions, that's when they want to sit back and think about those decisions. And unfortunately, it will be too late. You may have caused some damages. You may have ran an unsuccessful business. So only then you will want to sit down and start thinking about how to run a successful business. People have fixed ideas and spend most of their time justifying the solution they have already decided on. Unfortunately, you will just continue to kill a dead cat. You have to take some time to think. Skill in thinking comes from deliberately trying to adopt different points of view on a subject. Next slide. Why is it important to improve your thinking? It's important because you should be able to deal in life. It will help you to create a flexible workforce, to develop a sense of control, to impart self-images, to cope with the 21st century acceleration rate of scientific discovery. When is thinking good? It's good when it's flexible, ordered, logical, focused, creative, when it leads to problem resolution, when it matches the nature of the problem, when it considers prior knowledge, and when thinking is positive. You cannot be an entrepreneur, but you are forever thinking negatively. It will not take you anywhere. Next slide. Now we've got what we call analytical thinking tools. These will assist you in the day-to-day thinking process of solving problems and making decisions. So these are the different tools that we have. We have the PNI tool, which stands for positive, negative, and interesting. This involves deliberate examination of ideas and situation in terms of its positive, negative, and interesting aspects, instead of immediately accepting or rejecting an idea or a situation. We also have what we call CAF tool, considering all facts. So this one, it considers and lists all factors involved in a situation instead of taking into account only the most immediate and obvious factor. We also have what we call the AGO. The AGO is the one that focuses on aims, goals, and objectives. So it's defining and establishing ends in a given situation. So these are the tools that you would want to use when you are formulating a strategy of your business. And we also have what we call CNS, consequences and sequels. This considers the immediate, short-term, and medium, long-term outcomes. Again, this is the tool that you may consider to use when you would want to do some risk assessment of your business. And we also have what we call the OPV, other points of view. Consider the points of view of everyone involved in a given situation. You may want to use this tool in a brainstorming session where you are brainstorming a new idea for you to be able to decide whether it's a viable idea or not to explore. Moving along. Now, let's talk creativity. The individual and the collective mind can act as a patterning system, which creates ideas from experience. That's what we call creativity. It has a strong connection with arts. It brings about new ideas. Creative thinking is a definite way of using the mind. It changes rigid patterns and restructures the patterns. It looks at things differently, inquires imagination, originality, openness, and skill in lateral thinking. A good thinker needs to balance between logical and lateral thinking. So, as an entrepreneur, the mind that you should have, it's to have your critical and creative thinking skills in line. Fresh ideas and make good decisions about opportunities and potential projects. Creative is able to see situations from a variety of perspectives and come up with an original idea. Problem solving. How good are you at coming up with sound solutions to the problems that you are facing? Recognizing opportunities. Do you recognize opportunities when they present themselves? Can you spot a trend? And are you able to create a plan to take advantage of the opportunities that you have identified? Have a good balance between both your lateral and analytical thinking. We've already spoken about creative thinking and logical thinking. Earlier on, we looked at the brain. There's two sides of it. The left side of the brain, the right side of the brain. The right side of the brain is the side that you use mostly when you are thinking creatively. The left side of the brain is the brain and you are thinking. So at this table, you would say your creative thinking, it comes from the right side of your brain. Thinking comes from the left. Between the two are as follows. The lateral gaze, don't do things as they are normal. Six, discontinuity, whereas logical thinking seek to establish continuity. Lateral thinking welcomes chance intrusion, whereas logical thinking concentrate on what is relevant. Lateral thinking, they avoid what's obvious, whereas the analytical thinking proceed according to well-established thinking patterns. Lateral thinking, it's all about being those stages. On that one. In my 16 years of being an accountant, I attended an accounting class early this year. And to my surprise, I found that, and that is an NQF level 8 program. So you can imagine, it's a postgrad. They bring a lecturer for an accounting subject who is an engineer. And it really boggled my mind. How's that so? But as he went on, then I realized that this guy is a rule breaker. Basically, he is a creative person because he started giving us a lecture on engineering accounting. He panel beated that accounting, basically engineered the accounting, took the accounting equation and moved them around. And as an accountant, I could follow and make sense of it. Poor pity for my classmates who didn't even have the basic understanding of accounting and having to be taught by that engineer who was just playing around with those formulas. But I could follow and I could understand exactly what he was doing. It was really mind-boggling. It was interesting. So those are the type of people that have created assets equals to owners' equity and liabilities. It started moving to the other side, and you could still come to the same answer. Creativity. Creative people ideas will be rejected. They generally have fun. They're not dependent on logic. They don't judge others' ideas. Instead, they would use them to generate more ideas. Okay, I would also like you to take note of this slide. Actually, I'll pause if you can take a screenshot of this slide. At the end of the session today, what we're going to do, we're going to have an activity as a homework, and it will be a build-up on what we're going to be doing throughout the week. And it's going to be really interesting. So that activity, as of today, you will be assisted to do it through this slide. So please take note of this slide, take a picture of it. So these are the guidelines to creative thinking. For you to have creative thinking, you need to keep supplying your brain with new ideas. You need to have curiosity to unlock creativity. So you need to be, I don't know, some things are not nicely said in English. So, so for you to be a creative thinker. So you need to be curious about things, what's happening, what are they doing. You need to break through your invisible fences, integrate ideas. You need to write all your ideas down in order to have options to choose from. New ideas do not have to be complicated. You also need to engage in brainstorming session. You can have what we call a thinking room, where you just lock yourself in for hours and jot down your ideas. This slides, basically, it's also to assist you with creative thinking. These are quotes from different writers. The one that's more appealing to me is the one that I've put in the middle. It says the wisdom of life is to keep on planting, for the sown seed goes on growing. It goes on growing, whether we remember it or not. So I'm not going to take you through the rest. You can read them on your own. So we also have what we call imaginative thinking, thinking in pictures. So this is when you are visualizing what we are thinking about. We can remember without seeing the actual objects, because developing organized thinkers through visual tools raises attainment, because all learners benefit from seeing what organized thinking looks like, because school can only optimize assessment for learning by making thinking visible, because organized thinkers are motivated, effective, and creative, because organized thinking is the key to successful learning. So you need to visualize what you're thinking about in order for you to be creative. How to improve your imaginative abilities. Imagination should not be the first thing to do, but it is one of the key things that you need to do, because it will lead you into innovating, inventing, creating, exploring, risk-taking, and adventuring. All these terms that I'm pronouncing now, you will note that's what we are going to hear about tomorrow when Rudolph takes you through the profile of an entrepreneur. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. Innovation, inventing, creating, exploring, taking risk, and adventuring. Exercise your powers in originating, inventing, improving, discovering, innovating, exploring, experimenting, and knowingly leading the track. Imagination is the highest kite that can fly. Okay, we have some thinking tools for imagination. You would look at recalling, being the ability to call in mind something in its absence. Creating, being the ability to form an image of something non-existent at the present. Foreseeing, the ability to see a development or outcome before it materializes. Fantasy, the ability to invent something novel and unreal by altering. Visualizing, the ability to form a picture of something not experienced yet. Entrepreneurial thinking. Entrepreneurs see things differently than the rest of the world. It's not an inherent trait, but can easily be developed and improved. It's a state of mind that opens your eyes to think like an entrepreneur. You need to dream big by having creative thoughts. You need to focus on the right things, focusing on the bigger picture of your business. You need to put your heads together. You need to then surround yourself with a team that has a desire to be successful. If there's any take home for today's session, it's the slide that I've already taken you through. The slide on entrepreneurial thinking. Next slide, we will be looking at the concept of innovation. This is what's key.
You are muted, Bridgette.
We can't
Sorry
hear.
about that. Okay. Let's look at the concept of innovation. Innovation means breaking routines and dominant ways of thinking, introducing new things and behaviors, launching new standards. On the right-hand side, we are looking at the different types of innovations that you can have. You can innovate your business overall, or you can innovate certain aspects within your business. You can look at innovation of a product in a way that you would be introducing a new product to the market, or the very product that you have, improving on it. That can be an innovation on your product. You can innovate your processes, changing the way you do things in your business and save costs from the current processes. You can innovate your technology, looking at how you can implement technology to advance your business. You can innovate your strategy. You can innovate the organization. You can innovate your marketing strategies as well. Okay. Next slide. So these are the types of innovations that I was going through now. The product innovation, looking at cell phones, how they've evolved over the time. They can only be improved through innovation. At this time, we are looking at process innovation, and behavioral innovation is key to growing a business. Okay, next slide. So these are the two different ways in which you can implement innovation. The difference is in radical and incremental innovation. Between the two, there's differences. Again, I will look at these two differences from the mindset. We spoke about analytical thinking. We spoke about lateral thinking, which is your creative thinking. So when I look at the radical innovation, to me that innovation is by creative thinking, lateral thinking. The incremental innovation is someone who's dominated by their left-hand side of the brain, who are most logical thinkers. They do things as and when they happen. So in radical innovation, where an entirely new product can be brought to a market. However, in the incremental innovation side of things, this is where you do minor improvements to an existing product or a process. General guidelines on radical innovation: a fresh look on old problems, a different Welton Shah. That's a different world, how the world looks like. Determination in solving problems within a given framework, that comes from incremental innovation. The knowledge base for radical innovation is diversified with unprecedented use of context, whereas on the incremental side of things, it's specific. The typical people triggering the innovation under radical innovation, these are critical individualists, mission-oriented teams. On the other side, these are your frontline workers. Organization where the innovation takes place. In terms of the radical innovation, these are intel side, it's your incumbents. Moving along. What impact does innovation have on a new venture? In particular, innovation can expect an impact on the following variables of the business: fulfillment of law requests about cost, you may experience an increase on your sales. You will be able to differentiate your products to those of your competitors. As a result, you will be profitable. You can even become a cost leader because you've invented something that no one else can invent out there. And you will be able to produce high quality. So you will have less competitors because this is a unique product that you are providing to the market. No one knows how to produce the same product. You can take an example like Coke. Till today, much as they've tried to bring in Bopep's that easy drink. The relationship between successful entrepreneurs, it's a positive relationship. It helps the organization to flourish. Innovation is a complementary thing to have as a successful of the business. On the right-hand side, you can look at an example of personal computers. We've got some computer scientists on the right-hand side who have invented the computers. And in the first side of things, where they had that spark of geniuses, and then moving along, we've got some more computer scientists that has made it work. The likes of your Alan Kay, your Butler Lamson, they then collaborated, and communicated the ideas that were invented by the inventors of the computers. They improved on those. Hence, today we're talking of Apple, Intel, and Microsoft. And those are the items that are being sold. But they started as an idea, as an invention by an entrepreneur back in the days. Okay. Moving along. Next slide. Moving to the next slide.
I guess
Okay.
it's a bit hanging.
All right. This slide, just quickly go through it. Basically, it's you looking at the value of innovation process. There are 5 basic stages for value innovation process. It's a business intelligence, the value modeling and analysis, decisions and prioritization, communication and implementation, then the value validation. What's key here is that you need to ensure that the product that you have innovated, you build a new culture within your organization that supports that innovation. With that culture, you will also be able to teach your customers about the new innovation and get their buy-in for them to be able to buy your new product. Okay, next slide. Next slide. I'm almost done. I think there's only one slide left.
I think technology is messing with us again.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is the last slide. Applying innovative thinking in business. So this is very critical. Innovative thinking can be applied to generate new products and result in profitability and viability of the business. Generate alternative ways the business can run its operation and cut costs and increase income. Generate ways in which business can generate more employment opportunities without putting the business at risk. Generate ways in which the skills needs of employees can be addressed without risking the venture, to minimize the impact of opposition firms in the venture. So these basically are the benefits of innovative thinking in a business. So remember, intentional thinking, a place to think your thought, a place to shape your thoughts, a place to stretch your thoughts, a place to lend your thoughts. Thinking must not happen in vacuum. It must be intentional. I hope this has inspired your thinking patterns to be changed from today to that of an entrepreneur. The activity, as I've indicated, that we are going to be looking at, this is basically going to be a homework. So what we do during these free courses, we give this activity, you go through it, and we will need you to submit it sometime next week. Best activity might stand a chance of winning a bursary to be able to do the full course instead of this just one module of the course. So from today, as part of your homework, like I said, it will be a build-up of an activity. Go and start thinking about a new product that the business can make and a new services that greater profitability or viability. It could be within your existing business, or it could be something that you've been thinking about. So you can start writing down those ideas, because tomorrow, after tomorrow's session, once Rudolph has taken us through the process of researching the viability, that will be your next homework, where you will need to go and do that research. After Mr. T has taken